Right. Good afternoon, Frederick. Hope you're well. Hope well. Can you hear everything? Can hope you can hear everything fine. Right. Let's get everything. Good afternoon, Jose and John. Good afternoon. Yeah, no worries. Don't worry about it, John. Love what you do. Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, thank God for that. Thank you very much. Right, so hope everyone's well. Hello, Siskalai. I'm sorry if I pronounced it. And Bongani. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Tell you my pins are not what they used to be. But hello there, and hello, Aki's Mad. How you doing, my good friend? Good. And Donkey Dave, the legend that is Donkey Dave. I absolutely love his channel. Always makes me chuckle first thing in the morning. Hope everyone is well. And Don Coultier, yes, nice to see you here. I'm really proud to see you here. But anyway, let's get myself all organised here. Right. Here we go. But I just want to say quick thank you everyone, you know, for your kind messages on over last day too, because like I didn't, as you know, I didn't have any content for Friday, because like I say, with the Bradford City Fire Memorial on Thursday, and all I can say is impeccably done, and every good afternoon to Tories. Don't get tasered. You're very right there. They certainly don't. But anyway, it was impeccably done, and the 38th anniversary of the fire memorial, and I remember I sat there with my friend, and we just said, "Christ, where's the time gone?" And every time, without fail, more often than not, at the start of it, I'll say, because when I finish it, they'll do abide with me, and I always say, no, not going to get me, not going to get me all upset and start crying. As soon as it starts, I start blubbering like a little baby. I can't help it, you know, because it always gets me. But luckily, we're absolutely teaming buckets down, so nobody noticed. But anyway, But anyway, let's crack on with this. Crack on with the show, shall we say? Let's start off with a bit of a good giggle. Did anybody hear about the situation with our good friend Henry Bolton? Yes, our Henry Bolton. He decided to make a bit of a prat of himself, a bit of a bell tap. He said that today, in a tweet, he said, "Today I spoke to someone who was extremely senior within the NHS nationally, and they stated that diversity managers increase NHS efficiency. I asked how, and do they positively influence?" Now, the reason why I didn't go any further, because it will come clear, and it will come clear very, very soon, because a certain Simon Bolton decided to reply. Well, he basically put his tuppence worth in by saying, "Maybe, Henry Bolton, you should have shared the context of the conversation. The person you were talking was with me, your brother, and at a family funeral. I walked away because I didn't want to engage with your Small-minded opinions. I really can't believe you posted this. No, that's not a burn, that's an incineration, isn't it? It got absolutely mullered. And after a while, clearly he took his advice and deleted his tweet. Yes, he took his advice and deleted his tweet. What an idiot. You know, it just shows you that these sort of people are just, what you could say, just absolutely disgusting individual. But what do you expect from a complete and utter belter? Mansha, were he the leader of UKIP for a time? I'm sure he was. Mansha, what do you expect from an absolute complete cretin that he? Yeah, you can tell he's just small-minded. With his small-minded views, it's just shocking. But anyway, and this is what I suppose in a way this is what happens when you allow unserious people into the world of politics. I suppose, you know, he's just basically trying to stoke a bit of a culture war there, and he's got his absolutely backside handed to him by his brother. I'd love to go to Simon Bolton and buy that guy a pint. Absolutely brilliant. What an idiot. But anyway, good afternoon, Sabina. Nice to see you. You can make it. James, other stuff. Good God, some of these names. I don't know where you dream them up. Your videos make me laugh. Good, I'm glad they do. In times like this, if you don't laugh, you'll just cry, won't you? But thank you for that. hello, Spixie Cat. That's a great name. Hi there from Holland. Lovely. Thank you. Nice of you to join us. Hope you enjoy the show. Well, I'll do my best to try and entertain. And thank you for coming aboard. And let's crack on. But it comes to Henry Bolton, just shows you what an idiot he is. But anyway, let's have a bit of fun, more fun, because don't know if you remembered on was it? Yes, it was Thursday. It was on Thursday when our Secretary of State for Business and Trade had to have a backside hauled into the House of Commons to answer an urgent question from our chair of the European Scrutiny Committee. And let's just say he wasn't too Mansha. A lot of people weren't too happy. And what you're going to see is some absolute pearls, not just from where you get the Brexit extremists. They now just seem to be eating themselves, don't they? They just seem to be, I'm the Mr. Brexit, or I'm Mrs. Brexit, and I need to be more Brexity than anybody else. But you're going to get some, I've sort of like cut down and clipped some belting ones of Tories having a tantrum, and some very good ones from other MPs who are just tearing into this nonsense of what Brexit is. But also, you get to watch how incredibly patronising Kemi Badenoch is. She is just, if you slight criticism of what they're doing, that's it. She just goes into full-on attack mode and tries to insult their intelligence. And this one was this is with SNP MP for North Perthshire, Pete Wishart. And let's just say, now Pete Wishart is never short of a good line, and let's just be honest, he just calls out this nonsense for what it is, and it's just brilliant. Good afternoon, Sir Larry the Cat. Nice of you to join us. I hope you are dropping a fair few few large legislations in our Prime Minister's loafers. I hope you are. Anyway, this is Peter Wishart, just basically calling it out for what it is. Enjoy.
Peter Wishart.
Can I just say to the Right Honourable Lady, she's doing herself no favours at all this morning with her patronising and arrogant manner, not just to members of the opposition, but also to our honourable friends. I'm not all for upsetting the Right Honourable friends and these colleagues, but can I just say to them too, it looks like in the eternal struggle between the blob and the mog, it's the blob that has prevailed. And isn't it just the case that in their haste to create this hard Brexit utopia, reality has just finally caught up with them? And doesn't it look like the Conservative Party, this fragile Brexit coalition, is now starting to fragment into its constituent parts?
No, that is complete nonsense. I think the honourable gentleman is talking about what he hopes and wishes would happen rather than the reality.
See, just absolute, total patronising. And he was absolutely right, you know, because you'll see the absolute tantrums that they all these Brexit, because you can tell. I watched it and the ERG were in full force. They were out there and they were giving her it absolutely full throttle. She wasn't having a very good time of it at all. And I'll also see what when it comes to this. I'll explain it a bit later on, but he's right, isn't he? You know, they are now just eating themselves up. Hello, Tim Davis. Nice of you to join us. Oh, Simon says, pleasure to see you join us. Great to see you. Hope you're well. But yeah, he's right. He's bang right. Because now they're just squabbling like rats in a sack, aren't they? The Brexit sack. They're just absolute. Hello there, Alastair. Pleasure to see you join us. Always love to hear you on Max's Discord. Always got something interesting to say. Well, so Zach is mad as well. But you watch. You watch. Well, you'll see a few of them. They are now fighting like rats in a sack, and it's none more better than our extremist Spartan headbanger Mark Francois. You know, because clearly he's one of these where he's not happy with the Brexit that he voted for, campaigned for, and he's won. And like I say it often with these people, you won. Get over it. You know, you've won. This is the Brexit you voted for. Whether you agree, or not. But now you'll watch our Brexit Spartan. Not only is he now fighting with our Secretary of State for Business and Trade, he's now fighting with the rest of his own party in Penfold's indefinite quest to become Mr. Brexit himself. Absolutely hilarious. You must watch. Brilliant.
Mark Francois.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and if I may, well said earlier. Having checked the Hansard record, the bill passed second reading in the Commons on the 25th of October last year, with a government majority of 56, and not a single Tory MP voted against it.
All of us didn't vote for it.
No one voted against it, Bob, not even you.
See? Not a happy bunny, is he? And if you wonder why he's on about the Speaker, well, it's basically talking about the time when Kemi Badenoch, where he wasn't too impressed with the way he was just being disrespectful to him, and that's going to be in the video that I've got posted for later on tonight. It's an absolute cracker. And if nothing else, you'll be able to see Kemi Badenoch at a patronising best, and you'll see our Sir Bill Cash look like he's chewing on a wasp. You know, most days he's got a face you could chop meat on, but to be honest, he wasn't impressed, and it's hilariously funny to watch. Well, I've found it hilariously funny, and you'll And if you find my laughing annoying, then you're going to be annoyed at my video. But anyway, let's crack on. Let's watch our Penfold lose his rag.
On the 18th of January this year, it passed third reading with a government majority of 59, and again, not a single Tory MP voted against it. So it had managed to unify the Conservative Parliamentary Party on an admittedly controversial issue. It left this House without a single Tory MP opposing it. Why then, when it's gone to the other place, the House of Lords, has the government performed a massive climb down on its own bill, despite having such strong support from its own backbenches? Secretary of State, what on earth are you playing at?
Mr. Speaker, I've already explained the reasons why we have changed the approach, and I'm very, very happy to repeat them for my honourable friend. He should know that I'm not somebody who gets pushed around lightly. The fact is, I went in and looked at the detail, and I decided that this was the best way to deliver it. This was not, and I will stress again, this was not the Prime Minister.
Look at that face! Face like a well-slapped ass! He's not happy, is he?
His decision. As a Secretary of State, I have to be responsible and look at what we can make sure is deliverable. This is the best way to get him what he wants. It may have been different from what was put on the floor of the House, but if he wants what I want, which is ending EU interpretive effects by the end of this year, ending the supremacy of EU law by the end of this year, I can tell him he is not in the room. He's very welcome to send me the list of things that he wants repealed, but this is the way to get it done.
The man doth protest too much. You can hear him chuntering in the background. Oh, that's hilariously funny. I'll just say, Mark Francois, you won. Get over it. Good evening, Chatty Rat and David Dack. Leeds 91 as well. Tim Davis. Glad, really happy to see you join us. Really pleased to see you. I hope you're having a really good day, because over in Bradford, the sun is absolutely cracking flags. It's beautiful. But I just find it's funny. The man is an absolute bell-tapper. And it's another one again where you see these people who are unserious people debating serious topics. Do you remember that time a few years ago where they seemed to think that's a good idea? Why don't we have a man like David Heddig in to talk about the absolute mess that Brexit, and we'll put him on the same platform as Mark Francois? You just think, what are you doing? This man is an unserious person, an idiot. And you look at him here, how many years since the Brexit referendum? They're absolutely now fighting like rats in a sack and still not happy with the Brexit that they voted for and they campaigned on. And as like conclusively proof, as you see with a few others, it's a case of Brexit meant different things to all different people, didn't it? And it doesn't end there, because we also had our, what you call, the Queen Victoria's last lover, Jacob Rees-Mogg. He got his own tuppence worth, because clearly he wasn't impressed with the Brexit that he campaigned on and voted on and fought for. And but he has a different... the reason why he's not getting the Brexit that he wants. Is it because he's not that bright and useless? No, it's civil servant's fault. You couldn't make it up, could you?
Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will my right honourable friend explain whether this abdication to the House of Lords has come about because of civil service idleness or a lack of ministerial drive?
Secretary of State.
No, I don't think it has come out of any idleness. If anything, I would say the civil servants have been working feverishly on this, but what they have been doing is preserving, not repealing, and certainly not getting the reforms that we want. This approach means that they can now do that. I know that it is disappointing because it's not what my right honourable friend had wanted. It was not his approach, and I have spoken to him about it and explained my reasoning. I don't think that we will come to agreement on this, but I would like him to still understand that I am doing this because I genuinely think this is the best way to deliver what those of us certainly on this side of the House voted for.
There you have it, it's not his fault. It's civil servants. They'll never accept any blame for anything. Good evening, good afternoon, or good evening, should I say, Smith. Hope you're well. And I saw a bit of a, yeah, Jonathan, I like that, yeah. With an attitude like hers, it wouldn't surprise me to hear both benches reverting to tribal football chanting along the lines of, "You're getting sacked in the morning, sacked in the morning." Could possibly be, because let's be honest, our Prime Minister, he's sort of like a thrown her under the bus, hasn't he? But yes, she was getting it both barrels from all over the place. And but this is another one of the absolute complete charlatans. David Jones, he's the MP for Clyde West, and he had a very simple question, because as it came to the question Sir Bill Cash asked, it was simply about one of his. He asked reason why, because she had basically been invited 3 times to go in front of the European Scrutiny Committee, and for whatever reason she decided no. Well, our David Jones wanted to ask again. Now, did she think, yeah, I think it's a good idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up in front of the European Scrutiny Committee and show them my fine work, what I've been doing. What do you think?
David Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As my honourable friend, the member for Stone, has pointed out, the Secretary of State has been invited on 3 separate occasions to appear before the European Scrutiny Committee, but for whatever reason has failed to do so. Given the seriousness of the volte-face that she has now performed, will she accept the invitation of the chairman of the committee made this morning and appear before the committee next week? And if not, why not?
Yeah.
Do you think she'll turn up? Also, my fellow MP for Stones, yeah, Sir Bill Cash, someone who's got stones for brains as well.
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, because I'm in Switzerland next week, and I'm in the Middle East the week after. But as I said to the chair of the European Scrutiny, I am very happy to appear in front of the committee. Now that we have a settled policy, I will do so.
Look at that. Jesus Christ. My God, look at him. They're not happy. Especially Bill Cash. Look at his face. He could chop meat at the best of times, but Jesus Christ, he looks even worse when he's not impressed. My God. But yeah. She would just basically just not only she was patronising the Speaker of the House, she patronised her own backbenches and those on the opposite end. She would just absolutely getting pelters from all corners, and she's not going to last long. She'll be on her way, won't she? But well, that's better. Well, you watch these. You see them now, and now they're just absolutely squabbling amongst themselves out there. It's as if no Brexit will, whatever Brexit they come up with, will never be enough. They'll never satisfy them. And it's come to the point now where you get the feeling it's not going to satisfy anybody. They're just... Yeah, so, yes, that's just brilliant. Yeah, where is it? Yeah, Cash looks like he's straining to get a fart out, and don't he just? Yeah, Mr. Cash is a hypocrite for wearing that flag. Yeah, she's coming back with a first class deal on cuckoo clocks. Hello there, Billy Kershaw. Hope you're well. Disgruntled Brummy. Hello there. Hope you're well. You'll think the cabinet will be keeping their head down. It's scapegoat season. Spot on. Absolutely. Yeah. Kemi Badenoch. Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah. Superiority complexes, all of them. Yeah, couldn't agree more. And yeah. Hello there, Coral Reefs. I hope you're well. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoying the show so far. But yeah, they were just... I was just sat there watching it with just interest. Now, I could have had Claire Anderson's and Stella Creasy into here, but I just didn't really want to go on for too long. But yeah, one turf account has her leading the new PM race. Is that right? And one turf account has her leading the new PM race. Yeah, why didn't the speaker boot her out? Now that's something I've not really thought about. I'm not really up on what he can and can't do. I might have to have a little look on that. Maybe I have to have a little look on this, but yeah, I think that's a bit of an idea. I might write that down and have a little... I always enjoy like a bit of a research and learn a bit more, but yeah, that's something to think about. What are the powers that the Speaker of the House can and can't do? That'll be interesting, yeah. Maybe even make a video about it. Who knows? But yeah, I just watched with a bit of breath. These people, they were just tearing into her because they're not getting the Brexit they want. And if I'm honest, I would just look at them in fascination by saying, "You won. Get over it. This is the Brexit you voted for." And how many times have we all heard it? So they say, "You Ramonas think we are thick and stupid. I know what I voted for." And how many years down the line are you still seeing them moaning and crying and screaming? And it's as though no Brexit will be good enough. But anyway, I think there's about 2 more of this. But there's where you'll get some serious intelligent people. And one of them, was Daisy Cooper from Liberal Democrats. She asked an interesting question about, all these rules and regulations that, the ERG and all this lot. No, you're quite welcome, Alistair. Not a problem, Alistair. You're welcome. Hello, Colin Brigham. Thank you. Hope you're well, my friend. But this is Daisy Cooper, where she got into the subject of the rules and regulations about sewage. And the one thing I've noticed with Kemi Badenoch is the fact that if you slightly want to scrutinise and these rules and regulations, you know, in Parliament, how dare you? You are a traitor to this country. And the simple fact is, we know what we are doing, and you don't. And well, and Daisy Cooper asks a very good and very poignant question, especially with the situation we're having. Now we're having the chance that if we go for a swim in any near river, we could be just swimming right past some of our own effluent, should I say.
Daisy Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Despite this screeching U-turn, the bill still includes a power grab over environmental protections. And in living in a nature-depleted country, it really concerns me that the Secretary of State can still change thousands of environmental laws at will through secondary legislation without scrutiny, many of those relating to sewage, for example, that can be dumped into our rivers, chalk streams and beaches. So will the Secretary of State make a firm commitment at the dispatch box today that the government will not repeal or change any environmental law without due scrutiny by this House?
Again, these questions worry me because it show that the process which we are changing in the approach is not fully understood by the House. What is being repealed is not certainly by the Honourable Lady. I can tell that many others do understand. The regulations that are being repealed are going on the schedule. If she has a specific one on that schedule that she thinks is environmental, that should not be repealed, she should say so. Instead, she's speaking in hypotheticals. I think what she should do is look at what the amendments are doing, and then look at the amendments and what they are doing. And then if there are any specific things that she has concerns about, she can write to me. But claiming that things are being removed without looking at the schedule shows that she doesn't understand what it is we're doing.
There you have it. Excuse me, there you have it, you know. Just basically just insults her intelligence. Try to make it as though she knows better than her, and how dare you question my superiority. And I found her just one of the most patronising people I've ever seen, you know. I think she's got a bit of a degree in it. And no more so than in the final one of these. And no more better than proving how patronising she is and quite insulting was when she was oh, if I get see if I can remember her name. Is her name Carol Minor, SNP MP? She asks her a very good question, and instead of you know answering it politely, she just goes on the attack and insults, and it's quite, I find, and I just think it sums her up to a T. Sort of person she is. I think she's better than. Hello, Viper. Great to see you join us. Oh, fantastic to see you. Hope you're well. And hello, Billy Woodward. Great to see you. But yeah, I think this just shows you what an absolute patronising, arrogant individual she is.
Carol Monaghan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Secretary of State has explained this morning that the issue is not her U-turn, but indeed is that silly MPs on both sides of the chamber have not understood properly the legislation. So can she explain in her wonderfully patronising manner, which she's used many times this morning, to this silly MP, what will prevent her now making a major U-turn on workers' rights, including holiday and maternity pay?
Tuesday.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable lady calls herself a silly MP. It is not my place to disagree. It's not my place to disagree with that. She asks about the changes to holiday pay. What we are doing is just making the bureaucracy easier. We are not taking any workers' rights. We've repeatedly committed on the floor of the House that we wouldn't do so. What they are afraid of is reform and any sort of change. They cannot envision a world where anything could possibly be better than the status quo. We are different. We believe in the aspirational and ambition, the aspirational approach and ambition for this country. They just want to stay the same and ossify. I will not stand at the dispatch box and allow that to happen. We were making changes that will benefit the British economy, British businesses and British workers.
You just couldn't make it up. That's just flat out gaslighting. We are making decisions for the British economy. It's like, really? I think, is that the reason why we're doing worse than Russia at the moment? We're absolutely tanking the economy, and you just sit there, and just stands there and just talks like that. You just think, absolutely, Billy Kershaw, you cannot eat aspiration. Spot on. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Better for whom? I think we all know that. I think we do know who she's talking about, and it's certainly not for the British people, is it? Basically, she knows full well, and I was watching this attitude that she has. Yeah, totally agree. Billy Woodward, laziest man. Oh, the peasants to get cheaper clothes and cheaper footwear. You know, he talks like that because he thinks he's intelligent. But yeah, exactly. Liz Truss and tank the economy. And like the thing is, it's as if it's a long distance. What's the word I'm after? A long distance dream, so to speak, that happened. Well, just didn't happen at all. They don't even want to talk about it, do they? But yeah, it was. I found watching that absolutely fascinating. Yeah, disgruntled, but yeah, Mark Francois, Boris Johnson, Dominic Raab, Jesus Christ, the whole talent in there is just absolutely. Oh, it's just through the floor into it. Sometimes when I watch it, I think, good God, I must need a medal for watching all this. But I was watching it and she's just getting it both barrels from all over the place. And it's as if to say, I know better than you. And you can definitely tell when she was talking to people, she is clearly out of her depth. And one thing I will certainly do, she will never be an author and rewrite the book How to Influence People and How to Win Friends and Influence People, will she? That's for certain. It's Jesus Christ. Thank you, Frederick. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's not for everyone, is it, Douglas? Douglas, yeah, I totally agree. I'm glad I didn't watch Elru scream at the house down. Yeah, I can imagine it's not for everybody because, let's be honest, you've got to be absolutely off your chomp to be watching this. Yeah, Alistair, yeah, I understand. Yeah, sometimes I have to have a word with myself thinking, are you right in your head? But I'll do it because... Hello, son of Viking. I always love your little comments because I always find them interesting and intelligent, and more often than not, I end up learning something myself. But yeah, to patronise one has first to be in a position of superiority, presumably intellectually. All Badenoch does is simply insult everyone while stupidly thinking she is patronising them. Pathetic. That's a brilliant way of putting it, really. Yeah, that's very good. Some people must keep it. Yeah, I suppose in a way, yeah. I suppose I do. But my wife must think I'm absolutely bonkers, but, you know. Anyway, that's enough of watching our Kemi Badenoch getting her backside handed to her. But anyway, but what we'll finish off with, the video tonight, it's basically, it's a good 17, 18 minutes long, but if nothing else, you get to see Sir Bill Cash look not very happy. And that is funny. But anyway, back to this. This is someone I wanted. Another one. Now, I found this quite an interesting. I have a lot of time for Ash Sarker. I do. And she was talking about, what was it? Water bills. And she always has something very, very interesting to say. And she was on question time. Yeah. And they're talking about water bills. And I found this very, very interesting.
So, privatised water companies paid out £1.4 billion in shareholder dividends last year, and 20%.
And that's analysis by the Financial Times.
And that's analysis from the FT. And 20% of your water bill is going towards shareholder profits and managing the debt for those privatised companies. Does that seem like a good use of your money? Do you feel you're getting good value for your money? Would you rather that money was going into fixing the infrastructure? Yes. While these companies remain in private hands, there's no incentive for them to do it. There is simply no incentive. So Southern Water is mostly owned by an Australian investment firm, and it's partially owned by the American mega bank JP Morgan. So your water bills are going towards making foreign corporations rich, and because they are so fabulously rich, they can just eat up whatever fine the government decides to levy them with. And while it would be very satisfying to see some of these CEOs in jail, and I would love it personally, what I fear is that the incentive hasn't gone away, which is you underinvest in the infrastructure, you let it crumble because, you know, you don't live there. You live in Manhattan or somewhere gorgeous. You don't have to worry about the sea in Bexhill. And instead, the incentive is to extract money from the system that could go towards fixing infrastructure, and you put it towards shareholder dividends. It makes financial sense at this point to bring this industry back into state control so all of the money can go towards fixing the problems. And of course, the Tories don't really want to do that. They only nationalise things at the last possible minute, as they have with the Trans-Pennine Express. But what confuses me is that Labour aren't...
Don't know what's happened there, but we'll just...
Right here where we can see you.
Why not now?
Well, it's practically finished. But, yeah, it's very, very interesting. It says a lot when you've got somebody like Ash Sarker and Nick Ferrari practically agreeing with each other. You just think... and just think... Yeah, it's just totally... You just think, wow, you've got two people who you would say probably on the different ends of the political spectrum, I suppose. And because I don't watch Question Time because I just find it a bit annoying. It's like, I'm not a Fiona Bruce fan. I think she's a bit of a Tory mouthpiece. That's the feeling I get. And you always find the Tory plant somewhere, don't you? But yeah, when you've got them two on the totally different ends of practically agreeing with you think it's weird, isn't it? But yeah, I always sit down and I always just listen to Ash Sarker as something, because she always has something very interesting and quite intelligent to say. But I'd love to know what your thoughts on on that, and sorry for laughing after it because I saw a comment from Alastair that just made me chuckle where he talked about. Clearly, you watched the Sunday roast the other day where we got on about religion. I have to say, that was probably the proudest moment on me doing anything like this. You know, first reason I get to talk with people who, you know, when like you've got Max, people like him and Phil. See you later, David Duck. Thanks for coming, and hope you enjoyed it. But anyway, I got to talk to people like Max. You know, I were watching their stuff when I were working. You know, before my body gave out, and you know, more often think, well, yeah, it's. That guy seems to be speaking my language, and you got Phil, and I'm thinking, if I'm honest, I didn't think this channel would do as well as it has done. But it was a case of I'm sat there thinking, I'll just have a bit of fun with it, and channel's just gonna, and I just enjoyed it more. But I never thought I would get into the situation where I'm invited onto shows like the Sunday Roast, you know, Alex, you know, historian, and you've got Max. You look at how his channel's just phenomenal, but I have to say I've been invited on a number of times, but this one was special for me because the young lady Emma Thorne, I think she's just brilliant. You know, because somebody so young, you know, I've watched some of her content, and it's a case of, and it's stuff about religion. And I always end up learning something myself. So, very forthright and very intelligent, very witty. And I think what it is as well, because I think that the way she says things kind of reminds me of me when I was, because my mum always used to say sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, but I always used to say, I know, I'd maybe shouldn't, but I just find it funny. But to hear her views on the world and on religion as well, I just found that brilliant because I always learn something. But anyway, that's just, for those who didn't know, if you haven't watched it, we got on about religion, and I got on about the time it was Yorkshire Day, and I'd finished work, and there's me, you know, with flat cap. Got practically with my ferrets down my pants or whatever, you know, and it walking at the pubs, and like you've got all the Yorkshire ales, you know, the strawberry blonde, Old Peculiar, and there's all sorts of names, and so Yorkshire Day, and I'm having a few of them. I was fisted apart, and absolutely 3 sheets to the window, and I thought, I'm going home now. So, as I'm heading home, I bump into these 2 guys, suited and booted, you know, ties a lot. And they were Mormons. They were Mormons. And I'm sat there thinking, what are you 2 doing here? And like, oh, we're spreading the word of our God and all that. Yes, exactly. Sir Larry the Cat, a bishop's finger. Absolutely. But, and I was talking to them, and they were trying to get me to hand over my phone number. No, that's a no. But they pulled out this book. Well, can you read this? But I was talking, and I'm thinking, you're a bit far from, you're a bit out of your field in Bradford, to come to Bradford from Texas. And well, anyway, I thought no more about it. So just to be kind, I'll just take the book. And then when I went round corner, not looking, nearest bin, bus home. But a friend of mine who worked at our place, God rest his soul, is one of them where he just does things to be nice to people. Well, I was in a pub and he told me that, just out of interest, have you seen a couple of American guys floating around Bradford Centre? And I said, Mormons? He said, yeah. Yeah. And he says, yeah. I said, first of all, you didn't give him your number, did you? And you see the pause in his face, and he went, I went, you did, didn't you? And I says, yeah. He went even one further. He even offered to meet him for a cup of coffee in a local coffee shop. And then, because he'd had a few, the next day, he's that little bit of regret. You just think, what have I done? Well, and it was just like, I just found it hilariously funny because he was there saying, oh, I've got 5 missed calls from him because I didn't turn up. And I hounded him, but I just found it hilariously funny. But yeah, that's the story about the Mormons, because they were nice enough, like Emma said, they're extremely friendly and they were really nice, but I'm just thinking, what are you doing here? But fair play to them. But anyway, when it comes to it's easy to watch and not too long. Really pleased to find out you do live. Yeah. Cheers, Vipec. Yeah, it was something that I've been planning on doing, but I was trying to do it with OBS, but it's quite a complicated software. So I thought I'd give it a go with Streamlabs, and I've just find it a little bit more easier and not too. So I'm gonna try and do as many as I can on a Saturday 5 o'clock, and we can have a bit of fun. And yes, Sabina, yes, she's brilliant, because I always learn something, and for somebody so young, I find it quite inspiring because of the fact that somebody so young and intelligent, it makes me feel happy that, that our kids are, well, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Good afternoon. Oh, good evening, Context. Hope you're well. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm glad to see you join us. Really pleased. Hope you enjoyed. But yeah, anyway, back to Asaka. I just think she's just absolutely, really intrigued. Good. Another one who's just all knows what she speaks, so to speak, if you know what I mean. And that was just fascinating. But like I say, I don't watch Question Time because I just find it a bit annoying, because more often than not, hello Reagan Elite. Thanks for the plug. Really appreciate it. Top class. You guys, if you not watch the Snowflake Show, you want Wednesday 9 o'clock every Wednesday. Absolutely brilliant. Many times I've watched it in fits of giggles. I still remember the time when they were talking about the very dodgy street names. That was just so funny. I don't know how you guys managed to get through going through the article, because you were just absolutely giggling away. Yeah, I asked them for their address so I can return the favour and try and convert them to my non-existent but can make it up on the spot religion. Yeah. I'm sort of that way. I'm not really very religious, but yeah, 9 o'clock regularly, and Lee Corn Snowflake Show, brilliant, absolutely. Spot on. He always learns something, and then you always have a good giggle with a good joke as well, and some. I'm sure it's the exploding heads. Love to the family. They always show a clip of what they do. Love to the family. Very, very good. But right, anyway, let's get to this. I would like to know what your thought process on this. Now, this is the conversation with I forgot her name now. I've forgotten her name now. Her name's just escaped my mind. But she was on with Alastair Campbell, and let's just say Alastair Campbell, he kind of lost it. Now, that's it. Cheers for that. Sir Larry the Cat, cheers for that. Alex, is that how you pronounce her? Yeah, she's the clown who made an idiot at the reform part. Alex Phillips, that's it. Yeah, but she was the one who made an absolute weird speech at the Reform Party convention or whatever it was, and anyway, she's there with Alastair Campbell, and you've got Victoria Derbyshire, and clearly you can tell that Alastair Campbell had had enough. But let's watch it now. I want to know my thought process. I want to know, what were your thoughts of what Alastair Campbell, get the teeth in, did at the end. Now, at first, I was a little bit unsure about, was that the right way to go about it, but I just want to know what your thoughts are.
Discussion about the bonfire of 4,000 regulations, which was just a gimmick, wasn't it, in Sunak's campaign. It's a huge distraction from the elephant in the room, which is actually the TCA, the Trade and Cooperation Agreement. And as a result of that, we find ourselves, for instance, unable to give state aid to critical sectors. We find ourselves unable to deviate from the EU in any significant way that could be part of an ambitious post-Brexit industrial strategy. And so, frankly speaking, no, I don't think we've really seen any form of serious Brexit yet. But to go down and get stuck in the mire of this, his photocopy or shredder stunt and the 4,000 regulations, I mean, that's just pitiful. That's a nonsense. What we should be looking at is forming a comprehensive, solid plan for an independent future.
Right.
See, the thing is, with this, Alex, I'm sure somebody, I was in Discord channel, and I can't quite remember who it was, who said that she basically turned up for one couple of votes and one meeting or whatever, and she seems to think that she knows what happens in the European Union like the back of her hand, and she, because I'm so experienced. But anyway, let's continue.
Right. So it's not independent. The UK is not independent at the moment?
In all but name. We're still in Brussels regulatory orbit.
Alastair Campbell, I wonder if the reason Labour did so well in the local elections in places like Medway, Swindon, Middlesbrough, because Sir Keir Starmer has managed to neutralise the issue of Brexit. And you could be in danger of blowing that up, couldn't you?
No, not at all. Look, first of all, I didn't say and haven't said that I think Keir risks looking weak. I don't think he does look weak. I think he's got a very clear plan for what he's trying to do. But you just disagree with it? No, I don't. Where I disagree is on the politics of it. I don't believe that this idea that the dial is not shifting on Brexit opinion, I just don't accept it. And in the speech I made tonight, I quoted Wayne Gretzky, the Canadian ice hockey player. I skate to where the puck is going, not where it's been. Things are moving very, very quickly because...
In what respect?
Well, for example, that thing today, we're not going to agree on much, but Sunak was utterly ridiculous in promising something that deep down, by his own economic assessment, he knew was going to be damaging, which is why he's ended up stopping it. We've already lost 4% of the economy. We've already lost £40 billion of public services. The pound is weaker than it was. Growth is smaller than it was. Inflation is higher. It's not all to do with Brexit, but a lot of it is.
We haven't already lost 4% of the economy. The OEL says over 10 years.
Our economy is much weaker than it was. And in every sector you talk to, they're now finding that whether it was Johnson lying about his oven-ready deal or Sunak telling us we're going to get this dynamic growing economy...
So you think Brexit's a disaster, so why aren't you saying to Keir Starmer, look, it's a disaster, say it, and that should be Labour policy at the next election?
What I've said...
What do you guys think about that? It's like... Is it... Because like, it's an interesting line he's taken. He's basically just... it's a little bit like the trying to skate along with China crockery in your hand. So he's basically trying to skate a very, very fine line. I had to laugh at Sir Larry the Cat, a rising star of the Deformed Party. What bunch of heavyweight intellectuals they are. Rich Ted Tyson, Granny Waddle Bottom. Granny Waddle Bottom. Clearly, you're not talking about our onward come. Clearly not talking about her, surely not. Yeah, Chatty Rat, totally agree. Yeah, they should have had a plan prior to the referendum. If there was a plan, it would have been evident what a cost Brexit would be. In that context, there would have been no referendum. Yeah, I think you're probably onto something there. Hello, Chris Town. I hope you're well. And Nodis else. Say, God, these names. Oh, Blair Line for the oil industry. Yeah. Hello, James Brown. I hope you're well. Yeah.
And that is what we'll do if we get elected.
Alex, your party and the kind of Brexit that you said that you want is not popular now. Brexit's way down the list of priorities when it comes to voters' concerns. And you and those on the right of the Conservative Party don't have the kind of leverage that you used to have anymore.
Yeah, I'd actually agree with what you're saying in that respect. And of course, public opinions and attitudes shift. I don't think all of a sudden people have fallen out of love with Brexit. I think a lot of things have happened since Brexit and people have fallen out of love with politics. They actually don't feel like they can trust their politicians to deliver. It's been 7 years since that vote. And we're finding that, in total, actually, about 260,000 EU laws are in UK statutes. And they'd found 4,000 down the back of the sofa they wanted to do something about.
Yeah, but they're laws that were passed by UK Parliament.
Well, they were, but they weren't able to be properly scrutinised. No amendments were able to be. No amendments were able to be made. Those laws were not made by the British people for the British people. And of course they weren't. I've sat in that Parliament. I was elected to it. Don't try and pretend I don't know how the EU system works.
I'm talking about our Parliament enacts EU law.
Of course it does.
They are not EU laws passed down.
Look, we're not into UK statute. I'm not actually denying that. But what the point of this is...
So don't say that they're laws that have been imposed on us by Brussels. They've been enacted by UK Parliament and government. There was no way as a member
of the EU. There was no way as a member of the EU to reject them. And you know that as well as
your
I do.
Your MPs here could. That's what made sovereignty here.
We're going down a rabbit hole and this is a pointless debate.
That's because you all talk such rubbish when you come on these programmes.
Excuse me, that's just unnecessarily rude.
But it's true. I'm sorry.
You haven't actually let me talk, so if you would let me talk, perhaps you might agree with me.
Well, let her finish, and then I will come back to you.
Because I don't think you're, particularly being a good contributor right now, because you're just being essentially rude.
Don't make the point.
Now, what I think a lot of people, when they voted for Brexit, wanted was essentially this country to take its future in its own hands and to make decisions that would benefit our industries, that would make decisions that benefit our communities, that would actually lift the wages of those who are the lowest paid, to actually secure our borders, which is something else that's not been done, to actually enable our fishermen to have a self-sustaining industry and actually make a profit from it. None of these things have actually been delivered. None of these things have been delivered because, frankly, we've got a government that treats Brexit like a gimmick and doesn't have any courage or conviction to see it through. And
Rishi Sunak is a Brexiteer. Rishi Sunak is a Brexiteer. Boris Johnson,
well,
you look at Alastair Campbell, he's ticking now. You can tell he's thinking, yeah, hear him just his little comments in the background, but you look at his body language, you could tell he's ready to go, and he's just ready to go off on one, isn't he?
Essentially, was a Brexiteer.
Was he? And I don't remember seeing Rishi Sunak holding many Corix boards and taking selfies on the campaign trail, so I would actually deny that he might be as much of a Brexiteer as he says he is. But frankly speaking, we're in a situation now where the government should be actually relishing the opportunity to take control of various laws and being able to put into place things, like I said, state state aid into critical sectors. We're seeing right now AstraZeneca moving to Ireland. We're seeing car manufacturing moving to China.
OK, Alastair Campbell, your turn.
Will any of these people who fought so hard for Brexit ever face up to their own responsibility and face the fact that what they all promised was a pack of lies, what they all promised was never going to work? None of you have ever brought forward a plan that says this is Brexit and this is how it works without damaging us here in the UK. And when I say you talk nonsense, let me finish. All of those laws that you talked about were enacted by elected British...
What's she going to come back with? You know it's coming.
Nothing to do with me, not my campaign. And it's very rich, a man who essentially was part of telling lies to invade a country, to accuse me of dishonesty.
I think you might have lost the argument there, my dear.
So the thing is, one thing I did think when she says, I didn't campaign on this NHS, you know, the Brexit bus. It's very interesting. I picked up on that. And the old get out of jail. Oh, well, I'm not the one who persuaded the country to go to war nonsense. You could tell that's always going to come back at Alastair Campbell. But that was an interesting remark. It says, I didn't campaign on the Brexit bus. But I noticed none of these guys mentioned it during the campaign, did they? They all brought it up after the campaign result, didn't they? Very interesting.
If I may patronise you even more, honestly.
No, that's it now.
Yes, I will.
No, that's
sorry.
it. No, that's it.
No,
that's
sorry.
It.
You bring these people on. You never challenge them. You let them talk utter rubbish about Brexit, and it's happened on the BBC for year after year after year.
OK, I am not going to take that from you. With respect, Mr. Campbell. Thank you.
You don't have to.
Thank you very much for being on the programme.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on the programme.
Now, I have to say, when I first saw him go off at the end, I thought, I'm not sure if that's the right way to do it. Because, like, the more and more I watched it, I think, I'm not surprised he went off on a tangent. Because, let's be honest, why are they bringing these people on? Because some of the stuff she talks is just utter nonsense, isn't it? And it kind of reminds me of the time when James O'Brien had Pascal Lamy on with Andrea Leadsom, you know, talking about the WTO, and you've got Pascal Lamy, you know, the former president of the WTO, talking about this is what'll happen, and you get Andrea Leadsom saying, no, it won't happen like this because we're tourism, where we voted to leave the evil overlords of the European Union and all that sort of stuff. And you watch and you think, really? Yeah, absolutely, right. He's right. At first I was thinking, I'm not right sure if that's the right way, because, like, it very easily construed as looking rude and obnoxious. But the more I watched it, I was like, no, Sodom, you know, enough's enough, you know, it's... They just placate these utter loons, you know. It kind of reminds me of, you know, could have a conversation about saving the environment, and you could have somebody... Yeah, James Brown, totally agree. And could have somebody who campaigned and about saving the environment, who's got PhDs in whatever, knows of what he speaks, and they put somebody who maybe just sits in his mother's basement with a laptop, you know, and just looking for all sorts of conspiracy, and they put them on the same level playing field, and they seem to think that that's balanced, don't they? First I thought, not right sure if you're doing the right thing there, Alastair, because you don't look in you don't look there. But the more I watched, I think, yeah, good for him. No, sod it. You know, you don't need to sit there and listen to the utter nonsense that these people spout. Yeah. Hello, Matty, and Hope you're well. And Danga 92, you know, hope you're well. Glad to see you've joined us. But yeah, Al Jazeera has a brilliant documentary on the bias of the BBC and reasons behind it. Oh, maybe that's something I might have to have a little watch and... I thought Campbell was actually very reserved. You've got to admit, he did kind of lose it. And Victoria Derbyshire's face at the end, she wasn't impressed. So I sort of thought to myself, I felt tiny a little bit sorry for her because she's not really responsible for everything, but there comes a point where it needs to be said, doesn't it? You know, you can't carry on like this with the BBC. But anyway, we all know this guy on Twitter, Sir Michael Take, CBE. He's brilliant. I love Sir Michael Take. The amount of people who have absolutely been totally hoodwinked into the stuff he's think, and they go off on one of people that say, check his name, and then they realise that, I've fallen for it big style. But anyway, this is back to question time, where we have our very talented Helen Whiteley, who knows what the people of this country want and need. 25 more years of Conservative government. Penny Mordaunt might be a great sword holder, but for me, Helen has true prime ministerial potential. This is hilariously funny. I've even you've seen her being absolutely crucified by Piers Morgan around the time, you know, when it came to the COVID absolute mess. But this is hilariously funny.
Are taking really tough action, but it does take time.
And does the government have a view when you say it will take time? When that might be?
Well, I just said, I mean, over the next 25 years, 56
25 years.
Well, it will improve.
They can't wait 25 years to go for a swim. She wants to go in tomorrow. What's happened to this young lady?
The number I said was £56 billion over that period. It cannot be done simply overnight, as simply as that. These problems are hard to fix.
See? Yes, so now I've got to wait further 25 years. She was my MP until I moved to another Tory-held constituency in 2013. Oh, yeah, I recently watched her in a select committee meeting, and you could always spot when she's getting flustered and getting absolutely rinsed, because she starts. You could tell it's written all over her face, and I get the feeling she tries to be this serious MP, but I don't think she's really got. What's the word I'm after? I won't say. I'm not saying stupid or all that, but yeah, Nick Ferrari is just in hysterics laughing at her. But I don't think she's got what it takes. You know what I mean? But I just found that 25 years. Now we've got to, according to Helen Whiteley, we've got to wait 25 years before we stop having shit thrown into our rivers and lakes and whatever. Helen Whitbrain and James Not So Cleverly, marriage made in heaven. Yeah. Good God, can you imagine the conversation them two would have over a cup of tea? Jesus Christ. But never mind. But like as I said earlier, this is the level of political talent we have a severe lack of political talent in our House of Commons, aren't we? But anyway, this were in, if I remember rightly, PMQs. No, it wasn't. No, I won't. Now I remember. This was, I think it was Wednesdays. Now this is the reason I've cut a few of these up, because it's very, very interesting to see what their what the Tories actually think and what they believe. And some of the comments from some of these absolute bell taps, it's either frightening or just shocking or just hilariously stupid. And Chris Phillips, he was policing minister. He was asked to come and make a statement on the absolute mess that the Met has got themselves over the heavy-handedness of where they did peaceful protests, and it was done by nearly said Trevor Cherry, then idiot. Joanna Cherry. Trevor Cherry, ex-City manager. I've got Bradford on the brain. I do apologise, folks. But yeah, Joanna Cherry asked him to make a statement, and he was getting it absolutely pelters from all ends. And I know what's his name now. Clive Lewis. He said something that is absolutely bang on the money. I think he's absolutely onto something. Absolutely. Where he just basically calls it out for what it is. It isn't badly written. He thinks it's perfectly doing what it's supposed to be doing. And that's basically stopping effective, peaceful protests.
Clive Lewis.
Mr. Speaker, I think it looks terribly obvious to anyone that looks at this that if you take a piece of draconian legislation like the Public Order Bill, pass it through, rush it through this place via an unelected head of state who gave it consent, hand it to a failing institution like the Metropolitan Police, who then decapitate the leadership of the Republican protest movement. What do you expect? This piece of legislation is doing exactly what it says on the tin. It's stopping peaceful protest.
That is absolute nonsense. This legislation is preventing disruption to the lives of our fellow citizens. I wholly repudiate the suggestion it was rushed through. There was extensive ping-pong, which I do not recall the honourable gentleman turning up to if he was so concerned about scrutiny. And as for his comment about the process for a bill gaining royal assent, I will not dignify that with a response.
Clive Lewis.
See how he reacted that question. Completely lost it, didn't he? And I don't. Way up. I'm going to get attacked by a wasp here. I'm in trouble here. Oh dear. A wasp has just interfered with my live stream. Disgraceful. But yeah, you see him lose it. And he's right. And also. Basically, in the next one, proves that this piece of legislation is designed basically to stop peaceful protests. And I purposely put these two together because we have certain Tory MP for Ipswich, Tom Hunt. He clearly thinks that this legislation doesn't go far enough because he goes on to the subject of just stop oil, where they go slow, and because they've thought they've sort of like adapted and okay, so he thinks it should go even further now. So this isn't about protecting the public. This is basically to stop effective, peaceful protests. And Tom Hunt, what a bell tap.
Tom Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Personally, I can't think of almost a greater waste of time in an inquiry into this. I think the police did a fantastic job over the weekend. I think they took actions under pressure. They had to make decisions quickly to ensure that a great national event went ahead without any kind of negative event, and that was true. And I'm very glad that happened. Does the Minister share with me some of the concerns that some of the Just Stop All protests think they might have found a bit of a loophole in the Public Order Act and actually think they can get away with slow marching? Will the Minister assure me this isn't the case and that we don't continue to see Just Stop All protests cause havoc in our towns? Well, Just Stop Oil have adapted their tactics since they blocked the M25 back in, I think, November and caused 10-mile tailbacks, following which a number of arrests were made, some of whom were, in fact, then remanded into custody. They have now changed their tactics with these slow-walking tactics, but the police are now
applying cumulative disruption tests to that, using Section 12 of the 1986 Public Order Act, and they are making notices under that Act. And recent disruptions in the last sort of 10 to 14 days have seen the roads cleared typically within less than 10 minutes, which I'm sure Londoners, my constituents and others will welcome very strongly.
There you go. Conclusive proof that Clive Lewis is bang on the money. This is just here to stop effective peaceful protests. Nothing to do with protecting the public. And yeah, it's great that Just Stop Oil is getting lots of mentions now. Keep up the good work. Yeah, exactly. And some of the questions that they were asked, that he was asked by some of these utter bell taps of MPs. Now, to be fair, some of them and it just shows you in this situation, people who, let's be honest, you sat there agreeing with, and you just think, normally I wouldn't agree with them. And then I'm just thinking, I need to go for a shower because I just agreed with a Tory. And I think there's just something wrong with me. And none more than Sir Desmond Swayne. Yes, the absolute loon that is, Sir Desmond Swayne. He comes out with, and like I said with it next to, it was a case of give credit where credit is due. You know, it was like, just basically asking, and he's got a point, you know, about these people who have been wrongfully arrested, slugging a cell for 16 hours, and then basically told, oh, nothing, do apologise, and yet you're now free to go. And it's quite right, is Desmond Swayne here.
There's been a misunderstanding, clearly. Despite the police doing a brilliant job, that's why there's been an apology. But wouldn't the Minister expect that misunderstanding to have been resolved well within the 16 hours for which the 6 were incarcerated? And surely there should be some questions asked about that.
Well, again, exactly what happened is an operational matter for the police. Clearly, on that day, Saturday just gone, the police had a lot going on in central London, policing the largest public event that we have ever had in our country's history. I don't know, and in fact no member of this House knows or can know precisely what inquiries were being undertaken while the decision ultimately to release those individuals was taken. But of course there are complaint processes available. If any individual member of the public wants to follow them, they're available to anyone who is arrested or indeed who encounters the police. And if someone feels the police have behaved in a particular situation unreasonably, they are able to use those complaint procedures.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I sat there, well, yeah, these coppers, you think to yourself, now, to be honest, you know, he's Swayne an actual real person. Yeah, he is a bit of a caricature of himself, I suppose, in a little bit of a way. He's a bit bonkers, you know, but yeah. But yeah, it's right, you think, when you're arresting these people, and I will listen to a bit of a podcast of Oh God, What Now, and they were talking about this, and one woman said that these new legislations that are so wide-ranging that you could, she said, you could be arrested for having a bit of super glue in your pocket or a bike chain. And don't you realise this? And somebody who's said, come on, I think you're being a bit silly now. You can guarantee that the police will use their good common sense. They will use common sense in this matter. And you think, well, you look at the mess, and you saw that woman she wasn't even a protest. She was just stood next to him, sat down. She was a bit of a royalist, wasn't she? You know, she's there. She probably dressed up like, let's see if I can find her. Probably dressed up like our Therese Coffey, Yes, she probably dressed up like, you know, like Therese Coffey. It looked like she'd just fallen into a Oxfam skip, you know, just round back. And before she could say out, she was there carried off. Absolutely, yeah, she was carried off. See if I could. Yeah, right, I'm with me now. Yeah, with me now. I knew I shouldn't have done that, but yeah, she was carried off. Didn't even dressed up like Dick Emery. Oh, you are awful, but I like you. Yeah, but she wouldn't even do anything before she got a chance to say them. Carried off, stuck in a cell for 14 to 16 hours, and you just think, oh, this is a. Hello. You'll be using the string to lock on with. Come down the station with me and have a chat with our copy of the Yellow Pages. Yeah. Yeah, pound shop license. I just can't resist it, but yeah. And you just think that's the common sense that they use, and unfortunately, there's nothing common about sense, is there? You know. But another one was it was David Davis. Another one. I'm sat there and I'm having to agree with another Tory. Good God, it was a long shower and all after I'd watched this. He wasn't impressed either.
David Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Nobody should question that this was a difficult time for the Metropolitan Police, a difficult task to achieve. And nobody should question that, in a large respect, they carried it out brilliantly and gave us a marvellous occasion this weekend. That being said, within 1 week of the Public Order Bill entering the law and in its first serious use, we end up with the head of the Met having to apologise to people who were wrongfully arrested. In the event that, let us say, the Home Affairs Select Committee reviews this matter and comes back with recommendations as to how we change guidelines and maybe laws, will the Home Office take it on board?
Well, I would just caution my right honourable friend against asserting these people were wrongfully arrested. That is not an assertion that has been. That is a legal threshold, and I don't think it's been established that legal threshold has been met. I would also, in terms of testing this legislation, I would also just draw the House's attention to the fact this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, and it took place against an intelligence backdrop which suggested there were multiple well-organised plots to cause very serious disruption, which, if they had proceeded, would have been taken very seriously by this House and been seen around the world. So I don't think one can infer from what happened at the weekend that the recently passed legislation is defective.
Yeah. Well, it's just got a point. Yeah, if these recommendations from the Home Affairs Select Committee come out, will you consider them? In other words, no. And yeah, the shower come with a full eyeball bleaching. Yeah, it did actually. Yeah, and it's Penny Mordor got a Poundland sign on Coronation dress. Yeah, it's just hilariously funny. You watch these things. It's like all you hear from Chris Phillips and everybody else was once in a generation, and the eyes of the world are on us, and they must look at us and thinking, dressing up like clothes that are well past the sell-by date. We look like a country that is more interested in its past than what's in our future. You know, weird. But I know that Americans love all that stuff. I find it a bit weird, but you know, it's different strokes for different folks, I suppose. But yeah, One thing I did notice about Chris Phelps all the way, when he could tell when he's going to say something ridiculously stupid because he gulps before he says it. He's as if to say, I'm not going to get away with this. It's a little bit like the Liz Truss, guard dogs to scare off drones statement in House of Commons. Hilarious. Yeah, the eyes of the world saw a load of corrupt wallies having a grand day out. Yeah, I couldn't agree with me. Son of I get, as I say, I didn't watch it. It's just not my thing. And I'd have to say, some people are quite sensitive. I just couldn't believe it because, like, on the day of the coronation, my wife sent me this picture. It's clearly a picture of Prince Charles. And somebody had replaced his head with Andy Cook's head. Now, if you won't know who he is. He's Bradford City player, league top scorer. Scored 31 goals this season. And to say that's pretty good in our history, he's only the sixth player to score over 30 goals in a season. And somebody stuck his head on with his tongue out, and it just looked brilliant. And somebody put on it, "Long live the king," and I put it up because I know a lot of you will know I'm a bit of a Bradford City nut, and it's my home city, and I love my club. And somebody put underneath it, "I am so disappointed in you." And I say, "Clearly you're knowledgeable on politics." And I'm thinking, well, that's negotiable. Says, "But clearly you know nothing about the monarchy." I'm so and I'm thinking, it's a joke. And like everybody else took it for what it was, just a bit of a joke, because I just thought it were hilariously funny, made me chuckle. And yeah, I think I was stunned, thinking, mate, it's a joke. Don't take it seriously. But anyway, there's a couple more of these. And the reason why I brought them up was a simple reason. You get a little idea of what these Tories think and how they're, and none more than our Michael Fabulous Hair. And he had a novel idea. He had a novel idea where he thinks he seems to be. He still seems to be thinking that the police have done nothing wrong. What an idiot!
Michael Fabulous. The Minister said rightly that hundreds of people protested against the once-in-a-generation coronation. Hundreds of thousands of people were present to actually celebrate the coronation, while millions in the United Kingdom and around the world watched it. I'm getting pretty fed up, actually, with the police apologising all the time. I can say that ordinary police officers doing a decent job, as they did on Saturday, find their morale is at rock bottom when they're given the instruction, "We will deal robustly with anyone intent on undermining this celebration," which came from the Met Police on the 3rd of May, and then finding that someone is apologising for them doing just that.
Well, I think the Metropolitan Police Commissioner had an article in today's Evening Standard which very robustly sets out the background and defends the police's approach to the coronation. And in fact, if any member of the House has not yet read that Evening Standard article, I think it was published earlier today, and I'd strongly recommend members on both sides to read it. I think the comment he refers to specifically was an expression of regret that those 6 people were unable to join the hundreds of others who were peacefully protesting. Now, the hundreds of others were exercising their right to peaceful protest, as they are perfectly entitled to do, but it is worth mentioning in passing, as my honourable friend has just done, they were in a tiny, tiny, tiny minority, but that does not in any way undermine their right to protest if they choose to.
Yeah. What have they got to apologise for? It just shows you their absolute thinking. You just think... And like another one, Michael Ellis. Now, he's the Tory MP for Northampton North. Now, Has anybody ever read the book 1984? You've got the thought police. Yes, that's the syrup of figs, yeah. Worst wig in Westminster ward goes to... Yes. Yes. Son of a... I've had a couple of... I would read it out, son of Viking, but I've had a couple of bottles. That's a bit... If not a... This heart and hamster on my head. Yes. Very good. But, yeah, his new idea is that we should revolutionise the policing by arresting people before you've committed a crime.
I declare this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Would the Minister agree with me that as a matter of law, the fact of the matter is that the police are entirely within their rights to arrest individuals to prevent a crime? It happens somewhere in the country pretty much every day. They obviously do not have to wait until a crime is actually committed, the active offence is committed, before acting. If they knew an armed robbery was about to take place from intelligence received, they don't have to wait until that armed robbery is taking place before acting, and the same applies here. Does the Minister agree with me that the police did an excellent job in very difficult circumstances, and this is a government that supports the police? We will leave the opposition parties to support those who do not follow the law. And the fact of the matter is, in extremely difficult circumstances, they did a good job.
Oh, and just remind you, you're not at the bar now. You've got shorter questions. Come on, Minister.
I wonder which bar we're talking about. You know, the law bar or the bar at the Dog and Duck. Who knows? Good God, what an idiot. So now we've come to the point now where if you have just gone to the local shop for a bit of glue and you get collared, I see you're thinking of doing a peaceful evictive protest. Come with me down to the station. Boom. That's mental, aren't they?
Look, I thank my right honourable and learned friend for his question. Yes, I do agree the police did a good job in what were very difficult, fast-moving circumstances where judgments were inevitably difficult. It is easy to criticise after the event, but I think the police did a good job in what were extremely trying and difficult circumstances.
There you go. Utter nonsense. Yeah. When I was hearing that question, I was just thinking of the book 1984. You've got the thought police looking through windows and stuff like that. You think, oh, can't we just make Orwell fiction again? Yeah. But, yeah, therefore, if the police think that I might be complicit in potentially committing a crime, they are fully within their rights to lift me. Orwell had it right. Yeah, absolutely. I would have sat there listening to this and thinking, because like, I've seen a couple of the film adaptations. There's an old one in, I think it did it in 1915, the John Hurt one. Yeah. Yeah, that Heather Jug guy is getting annoying, David. Yeah, I understand that. But and they all have the little different adaptation. And as I'm watching it, I was just sort of like, what? That was just whirring through my head. That thought police going through my head. But also, we have a certain Tory MP for Old Bexley and Sidcup who went off on a tangent, because apparently he's now an expert on peaceful protests, because he thinks that everybody should have the right to protest, but only certain types of protests, especially if it can be used politically.
Louis French.
Mr. Speaker, and I feel, given some of the heat of the debate, I must add that as a Greater London MP, it's complete and utter nonsense that you can no longer peacefully protest in London. Yeah. I myself attended my first ever protest a couple of weeks ago, where I was protesting against the Mayor of London's disgraceful ULEZ, and we were left to peacefully protest. But does my honourable friend agree that the police and our armed forces, those 11,500 police officers and armed forces, did an excellent job over the weekends to police and keep the public safe during the fantastic coronation celebrations?
Well, look, I think my honourable friend puts it very well. I join him, by the way, in opposing Sadiq Khan's appalling ULEZ idea. But on the coronation policing, yes, they did a great job. I think there were almost 30,000 officers deployed at one time or another during the relevant period between the Met Force area and Thames Valley for the Windsor concert the following day. There were, I think, 11,500 deployed on the day of the coronation itself, in addition to 6,500 armed forces personnel. We also, by the way, had 312 protected people coming into the country from around the world. And we had, I think, almost 1,000 close protection officers deployed as well. All of those officers did a fantastic job in what was, I think, a moment of national pride for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. You're only allowed to protest in a limited and specific way. In other words, in your back garden out the way so nobody can see you. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, save the best till last. Save the best till last. This is from a member of the Home Affairs Select Committee meeting, James Daly. Yes, of Bury North. Now, picture the scene. I bet it. Apparently, he seems to have a very limited thought process of what people who protest actually are. Because he goes right down the old what's the word I'm after, the usual lefty activist tropes. Very interesting, but what a belt up.
Dempster.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Speaker. Would my right honourable friend agree with me that the Metropolitan Police did a great job here? They took the necessary action to protect the public during a unique state event, and not one word of what we've heard opposite or anything that's going to come will be able to give any evidence to the country in respect of that. It is reassuring that for once the Metropolitan Police acted on the side of the hard-working public who want to have the opportunity to enjoy events rather than being the victims of left-wing protest groups.
I agree with my honourable friend.
Dempster.
Yes, so everybody who goes to protest is a left-wing activist. Strange, I never pictured our Tommy Ten Names who marauding down to London with his ilk of lunatics as left-wing activists. You just think, James, are you an MP? Really? You view yourself as an MP? Yes, exactly. Simping for the police. Totally and utterly agree. But the reason why I put these lots together because it's just got a really interesting outlook of what these clowns actually think, you know. And we all know that it's a piece of legislation that's designed to basically stop all these videos, and none of them address real issues or answering the direct questions they presented them, and they wonder why Parliament is unable to solve the country's problems. So they're just basically, it just seems to be a little bit like show ponying into. Yeah, I bet between the pair of those twats, their respective primary priorities are worth not less than GBT. 1 minute, and sponsored some of that. Yeah, totally agree, John. Disgrace, and that's all. Some of the questions. And when Joanna Cherub asked this urgent question, I've got it. Did a video on it because I just thought it would. And you could tell, he's going to tell an absolute biggest load of baloney because he gulps before he says it. And I noticed he gulped when he started talking about those people arrested for having them rape. I forgot what they'll call them now. Brains gone to mush, and you can tell you're talking out of your backside, Chris Phelps, or Chris Phibb, I call him. And you think you're talking out of your backside there, and it was just really interesting. And what I found interesting about these, I remember watching the Home Affairs Select Committee meetings where they had Mark Rowley, they had, and also Chris Phibb here, and Dame Diana Johnson asked him, do you think the Met is institutionally racist, sexist or homophobic? And they both said no. I was thinking, all the problems you've got, you're clearly not going to be able to address them, because it's like to engage. The Phelps sculpt is the sound a tongue makes when it fails to engage with the brain. That's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. Very, very interesting. Cheers for that, Son of Viking. I always read what you put, because I always find it engaging and interesting, and also learn something, something I didn't know before. That's interesting. But they all seem to deny the problem exists. It's as if it doesn't really happen. And like Mark Rowley said, well, I don't agree with that, because there's so many fantastically brilliant officers here. Yeah, there was also some fantastically brilliant officers who have been let down by the Met because they stuck their head above the parapet to complain about what's been happening, and they've been basically forced out of a job that some of them have said they absolutely loved it, absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. And I just think those are the people, the good coppers you are letting down. And it's like the Brexit thing, you'll never solve the problems until you admit that there is a problem. You know what I mean? So when it came to these questions, most of the questions on the opposite are absolutely brilliant, whether it be somebody from SNP or Labour. Like you saw Clive Lewis's question, is absolutely right. They know exactly what it's designed to do, know exactly what it's there to do, and that's to basically just stymie peaceful, effective protest, because we don't, because they're quite annoying, especially the ones that are annoying us. But yeah, as James Daly says, Labour activists, lefty activists. I've never. So next, if I ever see Tommy 10 names, I'll just say, Tommy 10 names. That's lefty activist. Idiot. Tommy gun. Yeah. The scum always floats to the top. But anyway, this is as I say, we come near to the end. Then, but this is a bit of this is a bit of a light-hearted bit of finish. This is somebody's put to it, freedom from torture. They've put, hey, Suella Braverman, your cruel refugee ban bill is in the House of Lords today. So we put up a plaque to show how you'll be remembered. And I thought this is very, very good. Brilliant. Very, very good. I can't quite read it from here. Yeah. Wrong side of history. Suella Braverman closed the door on people seeking safety in their hour of greatest need. Absolutely. Couldn't have put it better myself. Absolutely brilliant. And absolutely bang on the money. She's without doubt the most horrible individual I've ever seen. And I'm sorry to do this again, but I've got to finish off with the look of Mrs. Oxfam. You know, no disrespect to Oxfam, because my mum and her mum, they're going often. They always enjoy plenty of find loads of little stuff, decent little price, and if they're in their element. But that is just sums up the state of our country. This woman holds significant power, doesn't she, in our government? And you just think, we are such a mess, aren't we? Yeah, absolutely. and so true. Man in hat sits on chair. Can't beat Private Eye. Never a truer headline. Man in hat sits on chair. Brilliant. And it just basically sums up everything that's... Yeah, I can't remember where I heard it. You know, when you see Tres Coffey, the ghost. She looks like the ghost of Les Dawson. Yeah, but Les Dawson was funny, you know. but yeah. Anyway, I do hope I've entertained you tonight, and I do hope you've had some fun and also enjoyed yourself. So. And to be honest, again, 2 live streams where it hadn't just died and my laptop's all died and it's all turned to muck and gone absolutely to pot. So I'm very pleased and proud. And do you know what? Thanks for turning up, and hopefully I've entertained. Also, again, you know, thank you for your kind words on Thursday. Because it was a very difficult day, and thanks for being understanding, because there were no material on Friday, because I wouldn't have been in the right frame of mind. But to be honest, I'll finish off with we after the service, me and my friend and my wife and my son. Now my son is on the autistic spectrum disorder. When it comes to social gatherings, I can tell it's can be quite overawing for him, and he was struggling a little bit, but he had the day of his life after it, because for the simple reason we went to a couple of beers, and it's like after a bit of the service, you know, it's a bit somber, it's time to reflect, and then it's just time to just have a few beers, meet up with people, you know, reminisce and chat and have a good laugh. And well, we walked into a pub that had 80s music. Now, he loves his 80s music. He was boogieing away like a good one. John Travolta had nothing on our lad. He wasn't giving it all, and good lad. And he had the day of his life. And I was so pleased, because it just made the day perfect. But yeah, I wore a T-shirt for Glasgow March. It was keep calm and carry on. What if except with black again? Dear oh dear. Yeah. Thanks for sure. Take care. Yeah, thank you, Minthrall. And yeah, everybody really enjoyed this. Enjoy the rest. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, same to you guys. And do you know, I'm so pleased that you've enjoyed yourself. I've enjoyed. Getting drunk fixes everything. Yeah, certainly. I've got a cheeky beer. I'm gonna have a couple of cheeky beers now, and I get the feeling. Is Phil got a live stream? I'll probably watch that and just chill out and see what I'm. Don't worry about it, Mad Monk. Forget about it, my friend. Don't worry about it, Mad Monk. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem. But you've turned up, you know. Better late than never. So I'll always as well. And I admire all those that just get on with caring for their loved ones. Respect my... Yeah, thank you, Vipek. Yeah. because when I got the messages, you know, people and the thoughts and prayers, and I got a bit of a lump in my throat, because it just shows you that we have so much love in this world. Yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Simon says, right, anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and thank you for turning up. It's been real pleasure, and have a good week.